Hello creepy people and welcome back to my channel. So in today's video we have a very long video today because in today's video we are going to be unboxing the new movies for the March 2022 horror pack unboxing, and we are also going to be doing all of the reviews for the January and February horror pack unboxings that we did. Now the reason why this is such a longer video is because we have a little bit more of the review portion to do because I kind of got behind. Oh my god, this is the only day this week that I can film for my YouTube channel. And of course, it's on the day where I have literally the spawns of Satan living next door to me. I'm not kidding you guys. This lady has some of the worst children I have ever seen in my life. Like, they are so goddamn awful. They don't listen. They're loud. Like, I despise those kids. I literally despise them. They're such an actual pain in my ass. Like, I almost couldn't even film this video today. Because they're being so loud. So, if you hear constant banging, yelling up against my wall, it's them. My blood is actually like boiling. I'm so... I think I like legitimately just fucking hurt my hand. I seriously need to start saving for a house. No, I can't fucking do this anymore. I hate them so much. And the mom just doesn't do anything. Literally just doesn't do anything. Oh yeah, where were we? Horror Pack, yes. Horror Pack is a horror movie subscription service where every month... I literally can't film right now. I literally can't. So for those of you who do not know what Horror Pack is a horror movie subscription service where every month you get 4 new DVD and or Blu-rays, and they are all horror movie genre related. You never know what you're gonna get. Sometimes you get movies that you've never heard of before that become your new favorites, and sometimes you get movies that you have seen before that you can add to your collection, and sometimes you get movies that are just so awful you don't even know why they were made. So it's a lot of fun. I love doing horror packs. It's a way for me to expand my horror movie collection, and it's also a way for me to expand my horizons and see a bunch of different horror movies that I wouldn't necessarily watch on my own or buy on my own. So if any of you guys are interested in checking out Horror Pack for yourself, I will have a link right at the top of the description box so you guys can easily click and check out the site. But don't worry, it's not an affiliate link. I'm not making any money off of your clicks. It is just a link for you guys to easily click and access the site for you guys to go and look at. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it because we have a lot to talk about. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to do all of the review portions from January and February, and then we will get to unboxing the new March movies. Now, if you only care about one or the other, I will have video chapters on the video, so you guys can either skip ahead or, you know, go back, whatever you want to do. I know a lot of people don't necessarily like the review portions or the unboxings or whatever, so you guys can just watch whatever, you know, whatever you want. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. So the very first movie that I just want to quickly run over, this one I gave 5 out of 5 stars, and that is The Vigil. We got this one in the February horror pack, and I watched this movie before I received it on Hulu, and I absolutely fucking loved this movie. So this one I have seen before, and now I actually own a hard copy. This one I gave 5 out of 5, and I absolutely love this movie. If you guys have not watched it or haven't checked it out yet, I highly recommend that you do because this one is phenomenal, and I'm super excited and glad that I own this one. So that one, 5 out of 5 stars. I know I already love that movie. The next one I gave 4 out of 5 stars, and that was the Gary Oldman film, and that was the movie Mary. Now, I was very excited about this one when I got it in the February pack. I'm really looking forward to seeing this one. This one, I believe, is also on Hulu, so if you guys don't own this movie or you guys don't have Horror Pack, this movie is available on Hulu, I'm pretty sure. So basically, this movie is all about Gary Oldman, who plays a guy named David, and he is at a boat auction in town, and he sees this kind of old ship sailboat that they are selling at the auction, and something about this boat just really drew him in. Like, you know, it was the most beat up one, it was very old, it had a lot of damage, it needed a lot of TLC, but for whatever reason, something was just drawing him to this boat. Also, yes, I do take notes every time I watch a movie so I can get all my points across to you guys. So if you see me looking down and looking back up, I'm just referring to my notes to make sure I get names and stories correct. So yes, like I said, it's a really beat up boat, and on the front of this boat, sailboat, ship, whatever you want to call it, is this really beautiful, like 300-year-old wooden siren, statue type thing on the front. Like, you know how on pirate ships they'll have like a mermaid or a woman on the front of the ship or whatever. So this one had something very similar to that. It was really cool looking, actually, and David just fell in love with this boat. But what David and his family don't know is there is actually a spirit which is tied to this ship, and it's going to cause a lot of havoc on them. And, you know, honestly, like, I watch a lot of horror movies and stuff, and if anything was ever drawing me to something and it was very old, I would automatically assume that it's haunted. That's just me though. But yeah, David and his family don't know that there is a spirit attached to this boat. Not just any spirit, not a good spirit, not grandma's spirit, you know, nothing like that. An evil spirit. Now, this movie, I wouldn't necessarily say it's scary. Like, there aren't a ton of scary parts in this movie. It's more or less kind of like a thriller. Like, it does have some parts where it makes you go like, ooh, you know what I mean? But it's not like super scary. It's not anything like The Vigil to me, or like The Exorcist or whatever. I actually really enjoyed this movie. A lot of you guys were telling me that it wasn't very good or that you didn't enjoy it yourself. But for me personally, I actually really enjoyed it. I think my favorite part was there's a boy in this movie who's actually the boyfriend of the daughter. His possession was kind of cool. That was probably my favorite part of it. And there's actually like a whole storyline about how the spirit is directing the ship to a specific destination, and they kind of go back into like the history of, you know, who owned the boat and the woman and the spirit and why they're going to this specific destination. So I actually really enjoyed it. It was kind of like a thrilling mystery horror movie. Now, the ending of this movie is honestly kind of predictable. The mother survives, and, you know, she's being interviewed by police and she's describing the whole story, and it turns out she's actually still possessed by the spirit, and that's kind of where the movie ends. It's kind of like a cliffhanger type deal. But overall, I think it was a pretty good movie, and I would definitely recommend watching this one. The next movie I want to talk about, and this one I also gave 5 out of 5 stars, and that was The Dark and the Wicked. Now, I did see this on a streaming service, but I can't remember which one. I really enjoyed this movie. It opened up with, like, you know, someone doing dishes or something, and like a chair slid out from the dining room table and slid up to the woman. That right away I was like, okay, this is gonna be good. And also, like, could you imagine that happening in real life? Like, fuck that shit. Oh my god, I would be so fucking freaked out. So basically, this movie is all about a family. They live on a farm where they have like some livestock, some goats, things like that. So they have a lot of property, and they've spent most of their lives taking care of this farm, when unfortunately the father in the family is dying, and the mother is basically the caretaker, and she's obviously devastated because she's losing her husband, and she's kind of grieving, you know, kind of depressed. You know, I mean, we all would be, right? So their 2 children come back home to the farm to kind of help out, you know, keep their mom company, kind of help around the farm a little bit, just to kind of take some of the stress off of her. And the children's names are Louise and Michael. So Louise and Michael come home to help their mother, and also spend what little time left they have with their father. Now, there's obviously a spirit in the house because weird things are happening, doors are opening and closing on their own. And a little bit of a trigger warning is the mom does end up hanging herself a little bit into the movie, because I think she just became overwhelmed with, like, you know, the spirit and her husband dying and the stress of everything going on. So she does end up hanging herself. I just wanted to put a little bit of a trigger warning in there for you guys. I was not expecting that. Like, when I saw her do that, I was like, oh, like, I didn't think that was gonna happen. I thought the spirit was gonna, like, kill her in another way, but not, like, make her hang herself, you know, like, that was, like, damn. And obviously, I think, you know, not only with everything going on, but I do think the spirit, the evil entity, the demon that is haunting the property and the family and the father, I do think he was definitely to blame for that for sure. And the demons and spirits, especially demons, evil ones, they target the weak. They target the vulnerable. So the demon is trying to take over the father's soul, and in doing so, it's basically torturing the entire family, like making them see things, hear things, weird things happening around the house. This movie did have a lot of jump scares. It was kind of slow, but not slow in a bad way. It was slow in a good way. Like, it just made it really eerie and creepy about it. The one part in this movie that scared me the most, and that I was like kind of pulling the blanket up over my eyes a little bit, was the part in Michael's room with the light switch, where he's sleeping and the light switch turns on, he wakes up, no one's there, he gets up, turns it off, you know, okay, everything's cool, it turns back on, and then he sees his dead mother, who's like this demon out in the front yard. It's like, that part creeped me out so much. The next one is the Horror Pack Limited Edition, and that is the Bad Dreams movie, and this is the Nightmares Film Festival 2021 movies. Basically, it's a collection of short horror films ranging from about 5 to 15 minutes long. There's a total of 10 short films in here. And what I really found cool about this is that they all had a very nightmarish feel to them. And what I mean by that is, if you ever had a nightmare, which I'm sure 98% of us have, you know, they're very scary, they're very weird, and there really isn't like a clear reason as to why you had that nightmare. A lot of these stories were very similar. They did kind of remind me of nightmares that we would have, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. Just no rhyme or reason, you know, kind of like our nightmares. Sometimes we have nightmares and we're like, what the fuck was that? You know, it's kind of like that. So I think Bad Dreams was a very good title for this. I think my least favorite one was, there was one in here called Deep Learning. That one was not one of my favorites. The two that I absolutely loved out of here was Follow Me Please and No Filter. Really, really good. I loved those two so much. I think I actually watched them twice because they were so good. The rest were okay, but none that really stuck out to me. The Follow Me Please and No Filter were hands down my favorites. I think Follow Me Please takes number 1 and No Filter takes number 2. Another really good one that probably takes the number 3 spot would be Movie Night. That one was also kind of cool and creepy. I mean, if you're someone who, you know, really likes short horror films and you have an appreciation for film festivals and up-and-coming filmmakers, then I would recommend checking this out. But if that kind of thing just isn't for you, then I would maybe skip out on this one. But there were a few in here that were really good. But I gave this one an overall rating of 2.5 out of 5 stars. The next one I want to talk about, and this one I was really excited to watch, and that was the Thomas Lennon Puppet Master, The Littlest Reach? I'm sorry, I don't know how to say that word. This one I gave 3.5 out of 5 stars, and I'm guessing this one must be a sequel to a first one because it talked about an anniversary of some past murders that have happened. I'm assuming this is a sequel and there maybe is a first Puppet Master that I haven't seen. I don't know, you guys will have to tell me in the comments. The main character in this movie, his name is Edgar. He takes his girlfriend to this kind of auction tour where they learn more about the Puppet Master, where they talk about, you know, how he made his puppets and the curses behind them and all the murders that took place. And after the tour, they're all staying at a hotel because the next day there is going to be a huge auction where people can auction off and buy past puppets that the Puppet Master had made. But none of them ever make it to that auction because weird things start happening back at the hotel. And the Puppet Master, or the creator, who is Andre Toulon, he kind of awakens the puppets, and all these really weird things start happening with the puppets where, you know, they'll go missing out of their box and people will die. Really cool deaths, really entertaining, kind of a lot of funny parts as well. And another thing is, like, they're all kind of like Nazi puppets. Yeah, it's very weird. And they start doing a bunch of hate crimes and all the people have to figure out how to stop it. So they have to go to like Andre Toulon's tomb and figure it out that way. This movie wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be, but it was still very entertaining. The ending was very cool. Kind of leads up to maybe there being another one. I don't know if there's another movie after this one. Maybe there is. But yeah, this one, 3.5 out of 5 stars. It was okay. The other Horror Pack Limited Edition from, I believe, February, and this one is the Morbid Colors one. This one, Oh my gosh. I don't know why we got this in a horror pack. I don't consider this a horror movie at all. This one I gave 2 out of 5 stars. The first thing I noticed that kind of like was cool is in the beginning of the movie, it starts off by them driving a car. One sister is picking up her other sister from rehab. There's 2 sisters. One is a recovering drug addict, and the beginning of the movie opens up with her picking up her sister, and they're driving home in this car. And the thing about this movie is there is a lot of really extreme close-ups and a lot of grainy footage. That's just how they filmed the movie. It was okay, kind of cool, kind of different, but there was a lot of close-up shots inside the car, and I recognized the interior of this car. Like, I recognized the headrest, I recognized the braiding of the cloth seats, I recognized the steering wheel, and like the center console, and I was like, God, that car looks familiar to me. I was like, I bet you anything they're driving a Chevy Cavalier. And sure enough, they were driving a Chevy Cavalier, which, if you don't know, that was my first 2 cars I ever had. I had 2 Chevy Cavaliers. I learned how to drive on one. I had one that I literally just sold that I had for 4.5 years. So it was kind of cool that they were driving a Chevy Cavalier. I really enjoyed that, and I instantly recognized the car. I was like, oh my fucking God, like they're driving a Cavalier. I don't know. I just thought that was pretty cool. And there's also another really kind of cool part in the movie that kind of like struck a memory with me, is there's a part where the sister, I think it's this one, could be this one, I'm not sure. They were at a party, and they were walking around this party, and there was like, you know, people partying, and there was music, and it was dark, and they had like some fairy lights, kind of like these ones all around, and for whatever reason, it really reminded me of the I'm With You music video by Avril Lavigne. I saw that, and I was like, God, now I want to listen to I'm With You by Avril Lavigne. It looked like the music video. I don't know, it was... I just noticed a bunch of little things with this movie. So anyway, 2 sisters. This one is the one that is a recovering drug addict, and this is her younger sister, I believe. And this one actually came back and is a vampire, I guess. So basically, the 2 sisters go out to try to get revenge and kill the woman who transformed her into a vampire. The movie is incredibly slow. It is incredibly boring. There is absolutely nothing scary about this movie at all. And another thing that kind of drove me bananas is they kept showing flashbacks of a traumatic thing that happened in their childhood, but they never actually get into talking about what happened, or they never go in depth into that backstory. And I mean, if they did, it completely flew right over my head, because I couldn't understand why they kept showing flashbacks, but they weren't going into detail about them. Like, I didn't really understand that, and that was really kind of frustrating and confusing. This movie had more details and a better backstory and kind of went more in depth. I feel like this movie would have been a lot better. And another thing is there's really no real climax or real resolution in this movie. It just kind of starts and ends. There really isn't any action, there isn't any horror, there isn't any thrilling parts. It's just kind of... I guess I just don't really understand why this movie was made. Now, I didn't hate it. It's just boring, and there was really no point to it. I didn't get it. It was just a very confusing movie. All right, moving on to the last 2, and I'm pretty sure these were from the February pack as well. This one is a Shudder exclusive, and this is Prevenge. Prevenge, I think that's how you say that. This is on Shudder. You can watch it on Shudder. For those of you that have a Shudder subscription, you can check it out on there. This one I gave 3 out of 5 stars. It is about this woman right here. Her name is Ruth. I would say she's about 7-8 months pregnant or so, who starts killing people. Why does she start killing people? Because her little baby that's in her belly is telling her to. Now, one thing I want to say is I think they actually got an actress who was actually pregnant, because it looked very convincing. Like, you know how in some movies where a character is pregnant and it looks very fake and you can tell that it's fake? This legitimately looked like a real pregnancy, like a real pregnant belly, you know what I mean? So I wonder if they actually hired someone who was pregnant, because it looked very real. And if it was fake, whoever the makeup artist was fucking nailed it. Now, the whole backstory as to why she's killing people and why her baby is telling her to kill people is before she got pregnant, like I think the day she found out she got pregnant, there was actually a climbing accident where her and her husband and a bunch of people were going like rock climbing or something, and there was an accident that ended up killing her baby daddy. baby, and basically Ruth and her unborn child are kind of out for revenge to kill everyone who was involved, whether they were innocent or not. And the baby, like the unborn child, is honestly evil, like, and basically controlling the whole scenario and situation. And, you know, even when she doesn't necessarily want to kill somebody, her baby will make her do it. Like, if she's like, no, like, I can't do it, you know, the baby will give her, like, pains or stomach pains. And she's like, okay, I'll do it, like, that kind of thing. So, but, like, could you imagine, like, I'm sure being pregnant is shitty enough. Like, that does not sound like a good time. But could you imagine having your infant unborn child telling you to kill people on top of being pregnant? That just sounds terrible. So as she's killing people, I think she killed about six people at this point. She ends up giving birth and everything is fine. You know, she wakes up because she did have to get a C-section. So she wakes up from that and she sees her baby, and her baby's perfectly normal. Her baby's not talking to her anymore. She's not getting, you know, messages to kill people anymore. She's like, oh my God, like, I have a perfectly beautiful, healthy baby girl. Everything's fine. And that's kind of when she realizes that everything that she was hearing was all in her head and that maybe she was just going crazy. And she's then kind of comes to the realization that, okay, like, what happened really was an accident, and, you know, it's nobody's fault. Accidents happen. And she kind of comes to accept that. But she still gets her revenge, and she finally, I'm assuming, kills the last person that she needed to on her little list. Now, the thing that kind of drove me nuts is they never really went in depth about what exactly happened in the accident. Kind of like with the Morbid Colors backstory, they never really went into detail. Same with this one. I mean, this one gave enough details to know, okay, they were rock climbing and somebody had to cut the rope and people fell to their death. So we got that, but we don't exactly know why they had to cut the rope. We don't know exactly how many people died. We just don't know what happened. I kind of wish they would have gone into more detail about the climbing accident, because I feel like it would have given the viewer more of an opinion, a way to form their own opinion about what happened and if it really was truly an accident or not. When this movie first started, I was really kind of unsure about it, and I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna hate this. But to be honest, the movie actually got better as it went on, and I really enjoyed it, and there was also some funny parts in it. This one, I don't know, this one was really good. I kind of liked it. I did give it 3 out of 5 stars. It definitely wasn't a favorite or anything, but it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. Interesting. You guys should check this out. It's a very weird movie, but, you know, that's Shudder for you. And the very last movie that I want to talk about is another wolf cop. Dirtier, Hairier. This one I'm pretty sure we also got in the February pack, and I'm assuming this movie is a sequel to the first wolf cop movie. I don't really know, because they were, you know, bringing up characters that I'm assuming you would be familiar with that I had no idea who they were. I've never seen the original, so I really wasn't sure what to think when I put this movie in. This one definitely has more of a comedy feel to it. I did not give this one a rating because I didn't want to give it a bad rating, because it's not a bad movie. It's just not my kind of movie, if that makes sense. Like, I personally didn't enjoy it, but that doesn't mean there aren't people out there. You know, some people may love this movie, and this may be someone's favorite movie. So I didn't give it a rating for that reason, because I'm not going to rate something that just isn't my type of movie. You know, does that make sense? Because, like, it's not bad. I just didn't like it. And the whole backstory, I had a really hard time paying attention to this, but the backstory is, like, there's this guy who, you know, creates this chicken beer, and when people drink it, it causes mutants to come out of their stomach, kind of like Alien, and these mutants start causing havoc and destruction all over town, and it's up to Wolf Cop or Lou to save everything and stop it all. You know, just saying that, hearing that come out of my mouth, like, it just sounds so weird. Like, what the fuck kind of movie is this? It's very strange. Definitely not my favorite, and this is definitely not a kid's movie, okay? Like, you don't see a cute little wolf in a cop costume and think this is a kid's movie, because it is not a kid's movie. But if you enjoy these movies, that's awesome. I personally do not. Alright guys, so those were all of the reviews for the January and February horror pack. So we are finally caught up again, and now we can go ahead and get to unboxing the new March movies, which I'm really excited about. I can't wait to see what we're gonna get. And I usually always get the Blu-ray packs. You don't have to just get Blu-rays, you can also get DVDs. I just get the Blu-rays because I have more DVDs than I do Blu-rays, so I just like to build up my Blu-ray collection. So without further ado, let's go ahead and open this up. I'm pretty sure my god-awful neighbors left, so that's good. Hopefully there won't be any more interruptions while I'm trying to fucking work. So as you can see, we literally see the title of that one right there. And I'm just gonna take the one that we can see the name of. So this one is One-Eyed Girl. I've never heard of this movie before. Okay, so this was made in 2014. It's about 103 minutes long. Here is what the cover of this one looks like. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this one before. And it says, "Would you risk your life to save your soul?" So on the back it says, "On the brink of a nervous breakdown, young psychiatrist Travis meets Grace, a representative of a secret church that promises salvation to even the most troubled of its members. Intrigued, Travis joins the church and meets its leader, a charismatic Father Jay who indoctrinates him into his not sex, but like SECTS. So it sounds like sex. When a series of tragedies befalls Father Jay and his flock, Travis must decide if his loyalty truly lies with Father Jay, the ever-elusive Grace, or himself. Featuring standout performances from each member of its talented cast, One-Eyed Girl is a dark thriller filled with tension and dread that will haunt you long after the final frame." So this one, I don't know, it sounds kind of weird. But it could be really good. Okay, the next one, now no other spoilers, there's no other titles, so I think I'm gonna take the one off the very bottom. And the second movie that we got for March 2022 is VFW. These veterans are in for the fight of their lives. Okay, this looks like it could possibly be like another horror comedy, but it may be good. And it also looks like we have the actor from Don't Breathe, the blind guy. Love that movie, by the way. I still want to see the second one. I haven't seen it. I'm wondering if this is another Shudder movie? I don't know. Kind of weird. So yeah, here's what the cover of this one looks like. And I'm pretty sure that's the guy who plays in Don't Breathe. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's him. This was made in 2019. It is about 92 minutes long. And on the back it says, "In the latest movie from the iconic Fangoria, a typical night for a group of war veterans at the local VFW turns into an all-out battle for survival when a teenage girl runs into the bar with a bag of stolen drugs. Suddenly under attack from a gang of punk mutants looking to get back what's theirs at any cost, the vets use every weapon they can to put together to protect the girl and their VFW in the biggest fight of their lives." So yeah, I can definitely see how this is going to be entertaining. I can definitely see how this may be a little bit funny. Yeah, I don't know. I have a lot of hopes for this one. I hope it's good. All right, guys, we are halfway done. We have 2 movies left in here. I'm going to take the one off of the very top. We still have yet to get our horror pack limited edition. So is this one going to be it? Let's go ahead and see. The next movie that we got is... Oh, okay, so this is not the horror pack limited edition. This is Crucible of Horror. Never heard of it. Oh, it's an older movie. Okay. So here is what this one looks like. Didn't recognize it at all. This was made in 1971. It's 91 minutes, English subtitles. So does that mean it's not an English movie? I don't know. It says, "Fall under the spell of a psychological thriller that for tight, merciless tension is uncommonly effective and engrossing," says the New York Times. This horrifying film tells the story of Edith, a terrorized wife who, along with her daughter, plots to kill her husband, Walter, to end his abusive treatment of them. They poison him and make his death look like a suicide. But they didn't count on one thing: Walter Isn't Ready to Die. Okay, so this one actually sounds really good, really entertaining. I like the fact that it is an older movie. Terror ends with murder, but nightmares begin with the crucible of horror. Oh my god. Okay, I'm actually really excited about this one. So far, we're getting movies that I've never heard of before. We're getting movies that I've never seen before, and that can sometimes be a very good thing because you never know which movie I'm gonna fall in love with. So yeah, really excited about this one. Cannot wait to watch this one. Okay, and the last movie that we have for March 2022 is, I'm assuming this is going to be the Horror Pack Limited Edition. So let's see how wild and weird and crazy this one is. This one is... That's a good title. Nothing wrong with one word that makes a statement, and I would say Freak is a pretty good one. So here's what our Horror Pack Limited Edition Blu-ray looks like. A film by Bianca Crespo, and just says Freak right there. Kind of interesting. This was made in 2021, so relatively new. It's about 70 minutes, so a little bit over an hour, so a much shorter one this time. Okay, so this one actually sounds really good. On the back it says, Ava, a washed-up writer who escapes a traumatic event in Los Angeles, retreats to a remote cabin in the woods of Pennsylvania. But the longer she stays, the more she realizes that her nightmare has only just begun. So this one actually sounds pretty good. I don't know. I think this one is promising. I'm excited about this one. Okay guys, and those were all of the movies, the new movies that we got for March of 2022. I have a lot of hope for these. I'm really excited about this one. I think we got some good ones. So you guys will have to let me know if you have seen any of these. Which one was your favorite? Which one did you not like? What do you think I will think of them? Sound off down below in the comments. And thank you so much for hanging out with me today for that really long review portion. I know I got kind of behind, but at least we're all caught up now. Fingers crossed we can keep it that way this year. But nonetheless, I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you go down and give this video a huge thumbs up. I would greatly appreciate it. Also, if you are new to my channel and you are a horror movie fan like myself, please consider hitting that red subscribe button down below. I do upload every 3 to 4 days here, but as the rest of you, I love you guys so very much. Stay creepy, stay happy, stay healthy, stay hydrated, all that good stuff. Get some sleep, and I will see you all very soon in my next video. I love you guys. Bye.